There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. There was like more people ever than waiting in line, and that's super cool. I am honored that you would want to spend your time with me. So, thank you so much. Just double checking that stuff is happening here. Cool. Good morning. It's really fun to be here. This is sort of my like semi every other week Monday stream. I know sometimes it overlaps with other stuff. I apologize. It just is what works for my schedule, so is what it is. But I thought we'd do a nice Q&A stream. The last couple streams I've done have been very productive focus, like on one specific topic. We did thumbnails, and then I recorded a video, or vice versa. And so I thought today maybe open up more just like general Q&A stuff, because I know that's always, it's easier than me typing out answers to comments, especially on the iPad. If you ever see like a comment with a bunch of typos, or you see like my Twitter posts have typos, it's because I'm typing on the iPad most of the time. And yeah, the iPad it has a bad keyboard. All right. Okay. David, I saw your thing, and I am glad that, yeah, cool. That was a semi-smooth transition. So yeah, we're doing Q&A stuff. If you have a question, put a capital Q and a colon in it, and then I can find it a little more easily. But of course, just hanging out in the regular chat is also super fun as well. And we'll just try to do our best with hopefully as few technical snafus as possible. I also have something super cool today, a secret surprise, a mystery microphone to test out, something that's not available yet, but somehow I have one. And I'm actually super excited about it. So I can't tell you what it is, and I can't show it to you, and I can give you almost no details about it, but I can let you listen to it and see what you think and give you some vague details about it, because yeah. So let's jump in and see what kind of questions we got. Oh, prior to that though, I did want to point out just stuff that I have today. So I've got the Sony a7S III on the slider as per usual. I've got my typical GoPro up here, which is the GoPro Hero 7 as per usual. I actually set up a different one here, which is the Hero 5. Just, I don't know, this looks cool. Like, I don't know, it's cool. And then I've actually got something even fancier, which is this guy right here. Fancier is a loose term, but this is the GoPro Hero 10, which I recently, this is a GoPro Hero 10, but I put it on my mic arm for today. So if I move the mic, it gives this weird, there's no reason for this. This is completely unnecessary, but it looks cool, and that's all that matters. So there we go. That's kind of where we're at. And yeah. Anyway, diving into questions, because I see a lot of questions. Thank you, everybody, for following directions. It's been a while since I've taught in the classroom, so it's nice to give directions and people follow them. Let's see. Jason, we talked in the chat a little bit, but you asked thoughts on the A10 Mini Pro ISO. You found one, I think you said you found one on secondhand. Yeah, $200 off retail price. If you're talking about the regular 4-channel A10 Mini ISO and you're in the market for an A10 Mini, I mean, I love it. I'm using the Extreme because I like to have all the extra inputs, but the ATEMs are great. If Doc is here, I'm still saying the ATEMs are great. However, as far as I know, Doc Rock, who's like one of the moderators and in the chat and just everywhere, but the biggest gripe with the ATEMs is that they're not 4K. They're limited to 1080p, which for me is fine right now, even though the stream is technically going out at higher than 1080. I don't know. I'd love to have a 4K ATEM, but I come from the time of like broadcast switchers, even cheap crummy ones costing thousands and thousands of dollars. So the ATEM is like an extremely good deal because it's the Extreme. Greg, do I have a video that teaches about live streaming events? And if so, can I share the link or to another YouTuber? I do have a video on my channel. I can't pull up the link right now because it would be very boring to watch me do that. But if you go to my channel and you just search like streaming or graduation, I have a video all about streaming high school graduations, which is something I used to do. And that a lot of the stuff there can apply to other events as well. It's still relatively up to date, but I think things have even gotten better because of tools like the ATEM and the CamLink Pro, and it's just easier to bring in multiple cameras than it used to be. So I think things are even better now than they were before. Richard, what is up? Thank you for being here. How can I record on my Rodecaster into my laptop without the processing? I want the processing on my live stream, but not on the recorded file. This is such a good question. I noticed that editing is difficult with processed audio. Yeah. So this is a very specific use case. So if I'm running through the Rodecaster now, but I don't really have any processing turned on. But yeah, if I were doing this stream and I wanted it to sound as good as I could get it on the fly and I wanted to put in processing, but I was planning to edit this later, it would make sense that I would just want the unprocessed audio. So here's what you can do. Something I learned, which I think is even going to get better with an update, is Ecamm Live, the software that I'm using right now, works very well with a fancy technology called NDI, which means I can look you right in the eye and tell you about it. Nice. But it basically means I can use my phone wirelessly as a camera. So I'm going to do that to show you my Rodecaster so I can answer your question. And I apologize if this is slightly shaky. So what you can do is go into your Rodecaster settings. You can click on Advanced Audio Processing. And nope, that was not it. Operations? Where's the bypass effects one? Wait a minute. I was getting so like... here we go. If you go into multi-track, you can do bypass audio processing. And if that's turned on, then the recorded file will not have the audio processing turned on. So I don't know. I think you have to have multi-track. Maybe you don't have to have multi-track enabled, actually. You don't. But that's a cool thing. So that's the answer to that. It's in the multi-track menu, and then you'll be all set and ready to go. Do I prefer Blue Bottle or Shure SM7B? I have not used the Blue Bottle, so despite how much I like the name, I can only speak to the Shure SM7B. I'll do a whole video about the Shure SM7B. I'm happy to talk about that later if you want, but I love this microphone. That's where I'm landing on it. I love this microphone, but I used to really not love this microphone. And I think I've told that story a couple of times, but yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks, Bailey, for putting the link to that video. I really, really appreciate it. I was looking ahead to some of the other questions. Do I have recommendations of XLR lavalier wireless microphones? I have sort of 1.5 recommendations. The only ones that I have used a lot personally are the Sennheiser G3 and G4s, which are really good. They're pretty expensive. I think it's like, well, I shouldn't say expensive. They aren't budget. They're $700-800 for a kit, which is, you know, if you're somebody who's just looking to spend $100 on a wireless thing, on an XLR wireless thing, that's a lot. But if you're looking for like actual pro industry standard stuff, the Sennheiser G3, G4s are amazing. The other recommendation, which I haven't used myself, but I have friends who do, are the Sony wireless packs, because they make good stuff, and I've used Sony XLR lavalier mics many times, and they're very, very excellent, but I've not used their wireless, so I can't speak to it totally personally, but I'm a fan overall. So, oops, I couldn't see my audio there. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Sennheisers are great, though. I really love those things, and they're built like tanks. The menus are a little funky to navigate. Lazaro, what's up? I need help. I'm going live via Zoom on Facebook, and I cannot hear anything with my mic plugged in, and the video is delayed using the ATEM Mini. Okay. The hearing, I don't use Facebook for streaming, so I have not a lot of knowledge on that platform. But for the audio and video delay, that's something that's going to happen all the time when you're using separate video, separate audio signals. And if you think about it, video signals are just, they're full of so much more data than audio signals are, generally speaking. And so if you have both these signals going at the same time, the audio signal is just boop, it's going to get there faster, and the video's like dragging all this stuff. So that's why you usually need to delay your audio. What you can do, though, since you're using the ATEM, if you're running your audio into the ATEM, you can then use the ATEM software to add in a delay. There's not like a specific right amount. You just kind of have to experiment, but you can add in a delay right there. If you're using other streaming software, like if you're running through OBS, you can add a delay. And of course, Ecamm Live is super easy to add a delay. I have a 5-frame delay on my streams. So I know it's not like real specific answer, but without me having a lot of knowledge of Facebook streaming, yeah, there's not a lot I can say to that. Let's see here. I'm going to jump into the regular comments here. Pages is unresponsive. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well then, we'll just jump to over here. I just want to make sure everybody's good and they're not, yeah. Because what I like is I give answers to questions and then people come in and supplement that. So like Matt is saying XLR mics, anything above entry level from Shure, Sony, or Sennheiser. I mean, there you go. Matt's an audio pro, so I would trust him for sure. Sup, Rob? Christmas clatter. What's up, Todd? It's nice to see you here, Todd. These jokes are killing me. Anyway, what's up, Kombucha? It's nice to see you here. Remember, if you got a specific question that you want me to go over, just put a Q in front of it, and I will do my best to get through them. I really like answering questions because it's like, I don't know, it's fun. It's a fun thing. Here's a great question. Marty Ford, any rumors about an updated Rodecaster? I have no inside information about this stuff, so I cannot give you like, oh, there could be something coming soon. I have no idea. The original Rodecaster, this guy right here, I bought this, I pre-ordered it when they announced it, and I bought it, and I love it, and that was like 2.5 years ago. I have some thoughts. Some of my thoughts are that Rode is a big company, but Rode also designs and manufactures everything themselves in Australia. And I think that because of that, it's not an easy process to shift and they're not just contracting out to a manufacturing plant in like a different country or something. If they want to start making a new product, they sort of have to like reconfigure everything that they're doing. And so I think that means that they don't want to constantly be making new physical hardware because it's hardware to do. And so that is one of the reasons that I think they're so big on firmware updates for the Rodecaster Pro, because it's a totally different device now than it was when it came out, just through firmware. And that's also one of its biggest advantages. Whereas stuff like the Zoom P8, or I saw someone ask about the Tascam, super cool, capable devices, but especially with the Zoom, I can almost guarantee you that's going to be on like version 1.0 forever. So the thing with an updated Rodecaster is it would make sense, like coming up on 3 years since its release, it would make sense that maybe they would want to update something. But also, like, the Rodecaster became really popular. I don't know how many people are going to want to repeatedly update their audio interface mixer thing. So, you know, it might be the kind of thing where they sold to an audience and those people bought it and now they're done. You know, I would get a new one mainly for the sake of like my channel and exploring it on the channel, unless there's something totally revolutionary about it. And what I'm thinking is, these are just my thoughts again, since the original Rodecaster was very much podcast oriented for podcasting, but over the time it's come out, it was adopted by the streaming community, and now Rode through firmware updates has really trying to been adding in streaming friendly features. So things like even Midi control, which is really cool. So my thought is an updated Rodecaster might not only be improved, but might also have MIDI functionality. And it's funny because I made a video a while ago that was like 5 tips and tricks for the Rodecaster. And one of the things that I mentioned was that the headphone preamps aren't that great. Depending on what headphones you're using and what they're running into, they can be okay. But in general, most of the headphones that regular users are plugging into it, you're going to hear kind of a hiss through the preamp. Luckily, it doesn't go on the recording, it doesn't go on the output, but it can drive you crazy when you're trying to set up your mic and you're like, I hear a hiss. Is that on the mic? And you realize it's not, it's just on the headphones and no one else is actually hearing it. So I mentioned that in the video that I would like that hiss to be history. And then Rode sent me an email and they were like, tell us more about this. And I told them about it. But in addition to that, I was like, also, I don't know if you want this information, but here's my long document of like features I would like on an updated Rodecaster. So I sent them a whole big old page of stuff that I was like, please do this, because I like the Rodecaster. Sammy, where's this new mic you told the JCAM members you got? Yes, I have a timer on my watch to remind me to show that. I have a whole thing. I built a prop. Don't worry, it's going to be stupid. How do you stay productive? I'm glad you think I'm productive. Truth be told, like, I am just somebody who, like, I can't, for better or worse, I can't stop doing stuff. It's very hard for me to just, like, sit on the couch and do nothing. Like, even when I'm doing that, after 10 minutes, I'll end up, like, cleaning the kitchen or in here, setting something up or whatever. So, I don't know. I'm just somebody who, like, constantly is always trying to do stuff and fix something, clean something, make something, work on something. I wish I could kind of turn that off more. So I think that was just built up through my childhood and being raised that like, you should work and do stuff and work all the time, which is good, but also can be bad. And that's sort of it. So I just always feel like I should be doing stuff. Plus this stuff is really fun. So this is like a joy. Like I woke up today super excited for the live stream. You know, it's fun. And then Top Banana on top. What do I think of the Tascam? Tascam makes really good stuff. So I think, having not used it, it's a very solid product. But same thing with like the P8 and the Tascam and all this kind of stuff, is that if you're going to come out with something that's basically the same features as the Rodecaster at basically the same price, or in some cases higher than the Rodecaster, just get the Rodecaster. Like, yeah. So I mean, that's just how I feel. So I'm going to jump back into regular comments for a second, just because I don't want to ignore that whole conversation. But my thing crashed. Oh, and there's a super chat I didn't even see. See, this is why we need to do these things, because I don't want to be rude. In addition to being a good worker, I was always raised. So this is from Foot Doctor Zach. Check it out. I have something today. Foot Doctor, have a super chat bell. For some reason, watched a few mic videos from you and ended up switching back to lavalier for my shotgun and just EQing it more. Now the videos are so much cleaner and audience retention is up. Super interesting about the audience retention thing. Lavalier mics are great. Especially, I mean, you saw a while ago I was trying to move around and I had to make sure to move the mic with me. And sometimes you don't want this big old thing in your, you know, where is it? Wait, no, it's, sorry, I have all the buttons here, mission control. Sometimes you don't want this big old microphone like following you around in your face and all that kind of stuff. And a lavalier microphone could be the answer. And I'm glad that that's working out for you really well. Shotgun microphones, I'm not super knowledgeable about, but Doc Rock, who I mentioned earlier, and I have talked about this, and I also talked to some people from Sennheiser, both Sennheiser and Deity, some of like their audio engineers. We were just emailing and going back and forth, and they were talking about how shotgun microphones are oftentimes not the right choice for these kinds of environments. For a lot of people, we want good audio, and a lot of times you don't want the microphone in the frame, so you get a shotgun mic and put it out of frame to like try to isolate audio. But as my understanding is, I could be wrong, so I'm just putting that out there. As my understanding is, shotgun microphones, in fact, I have one. So this is the Deity S-Mic 2. And the thing, again, my understanding about shotgun microphones, to hide my eyes. Focus. Oi, I'd really love for you to be able to see this. I don't have showcase mode on my camera, but anyway, maybe you can just see it here. They have all these lines or sometimes dots on the side. So you have your capsule, but you have like this whole thing right here, which is picking up sound from the sides and the front. And so what that means is it's not necessarily being as directional as you might expect, and it's picking up other sounds. And as Doc Rock likes to point out, a lot of times when you're using a shotgun microphone on like a movie production, it is meant to pick up the actor, but it's also meant to pick up the environment. So that way it sounds natural. It doesn't sound like they're in a vacuum. It sounds like, hey, you can hear the birds and you can hear maybe a little bit of the wind or something. But in your room or whatever, where you set this up, that might also mean now you're picking up air conditioner noise or outside noise or traffic or whatever. And so sometimes these aren't the best choice. I've been looking into and kind of curious about pencil microphones, which are in some ways shotgun microphones without the stuff on the side. So it just has the opening at the front, and that maybe might be a little more directional. But I don't know. I'm still like actually looking that up. But anyway, obviously there's people who use shotgun microphones and sound amazing. So take my input for what it's worth, your super chat money. But also, it's just something to be aware of, that like maybe the answer isn't just getting a shotgun mic, but it's experimenting with what works for you. In your case, a lavalier microphone. And I'm super, super glad to hear that. No pun intended with the here and the hearing, because it's a microphone. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to check in with general comments because I don't want to miss everybody. Matt, rumor version 2 will have line output improved preamps. That would be amazing. I would also love if it had the input jacks. I forget the name, but where they're XLR and 1/4 inch jacks. Like a lot of zoom, and I think the Tascam do have that. Actually, do I have my mixer? I don't know where my mixer went. I mixed up and lost it, but my Zoom mixer that I was using for my drums the other day, it has that, and it's really, really nice. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. I'm going to blush. Oh, geez. This stranger in the chat has a crush on me. That's my wife, if you don't know. I also have a crush on her. Because she's great. And that's also a reason why I won't be playing the drums today, because she has like 7 meetings today, and she's in the room on the other side of this wall, and, you know, yeah. Let's see here. All right, you guys are awesome as far as like making this easy for me to decipher in questions and stuff. I love it. All right, I'm just jumping back to questions. Trying to catch up to where I was here. How dirty is that camera on the microphone? It's not dirty at all, actually. It shouldn't be. It's like a brand new... Oh, wait, this is not it. Where is it? GoPro. Where am I? It shouldn't. Yeah, it's a brand new camera. It's the GoPro Hero 10. It should be super clean. The only problem is when you use the GoPro webcam app, you can't like adjust the camera settings the same way that you can in the back of the camera. So I tried to play around with some of the color through Ecamm, but you know. But I love the Hero 10. I'm having fun. Keelan, you're starting university next year and you're going for a degree in audio engineering. Do you know anything about the field? So I'm not a professional audio engineer, but there are several people in the chat here who may have had a professional background like that. I did teach digital media for 10 years. So I, taught audio. I've worked in TV stations and radio stations and stuff, but I wouldn't consider myself a professional. The biggest thing I will say is that people will always undervalue audio if they don't know any better. And so when you're an audio engineer and you do things wrong and the audio is bad, people will notice immediately. But when you do things really, really good and the audio is great, people won't notice at all. And so you'll be like, I worked really hard and I did a great job, and nobody will say anything. And that actually means you did a good job. It's only people who pay attention to audio who will be like, you did a really awesome job on that new thing right there. That's basically it. Is like, just know that you're going into something that's incredibly important, but when it's done right, people probably don't notice it or appreciate it as much as they maybe should. Instead of the Rode board, what other board do you recommend? I mean, it really depends. I don't really recommend anything else, honestly. If you just need an interface, if you just want to get your XLR mic into your computer, there's stuff like the Scarlett 2i2, which is awesome. The Zoom P4 is really cool because it comes in at a lower price point, and it does have onboard recording, and it does act as an interface, but it also lacks some features and some functionality. If you want the features of the Rodecaster, the answer is to get a Rodecaster. That's become my sort of default answer. Need to help balance school and filmmaking. Yeah. Let's talk about this because I understand that. That's hard. That's a situation a lot of people are in. You have your main job, whether it's school, work, or both, plus the thing you want to do, like whether it's YouTube, filmmaking, photography, art, whatever you're doing on the side, and finding that balance can be really, really hard. I don't have a clear-cut answer, but I can say that I relate to that very much because when I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago, it was a really fun, it was just a fun experiment to sort of like push myself out of my comfort zone and try something new. And that was awesome. And I had a lot of fun with that. And after, that was in summer of 2017, by summer of 2018, I didn't realize it was actually making me sick because I was working full time, trying to crank out videos like multiple times a week. And I was getting like physically sick from the stress and the exhaustion. And I didn't realize it because when I was feeling stressed, my impulse was just to blame my job, not my super fun thing on the side, which was YouTube. And then I realized no, that's a lot of pressure I'm putting on myself. So in the summer of 2018, I sort of had a switch and I said, okay, I'm not going to worry about an upload schedule or anything. I'm just going to make what I want and put it out when I want, which ended up still being about every week, but it would be like sometimes it's Sunday evening and sometimes it's Wednesday morning. Like whenever a video was done, I would just publish it. And that actually did help reduce a lot of stress. And I did that for about a year, and I felt a lot better because and if there were times I couldn't make a video, then I just didn't make a video. However, that's hard if you actually want to like build your channel up because it's super inconsistent and it's hard. So a year after that, which was the summer of 2019, I was a teacher, so I had a break in the summer, and I took some time and recorded more videos than I normally would. And I said, okay, I'm going to upload a video every Thursday. That's going to be my upload day. It just worked for my schedule. It kind of made sense for me, so it was practical. And then instead of just doing, okay, I have to make a video every week and push it out, oh my gosh. And the reason I chose Thursday was because it gave me the weekend to work on stuff, and it also gave me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights to like edit and film if I needed to. So it gave me time throughout the week to work on stuff. And then having extra videos meant that I could schedule them in advance. So instead of just being immediately like publish this week's video, I could make a video and then schedule it for next week and make another video and schedule it for the week after that. And it was really hard to make all those initial videos to schedule stuff out. But once I did that, it was amazing. And I still do that to this day. It's been over 2 years. And that's the strategy that's worked for me. I typically have 3 or 4 videos done and scheduled. And sometimes I switch them out in the order, or I decide to just push something out because I want to. But for the most part, I know like I'm good for 3 or 4 weeks. So if something happens, I get super busy, I get sick, I just want to take more time on a video instead of trying to do, I still basically make at least a video a week at least. But if something happens and I can't keep up to that, the channel will still go and everything will go. So I haven't missed an upload date in 2 years because of that, and that really, really gave me consistency and let things continually be put out on the channel, but it took the stress away. So it was like, that's what worked for me. I don't know if that's applicable to your situation at all, but being stressed about the fun thing you're doing in addition to the rest of your life is a very real thing, and it's something to be aware of because it can be dangerous to feel that kind of stress all the time. But that's a good one. Any teaser of what new content to come see on your YouTube channel? This Thursday's video is going to be a little bit different than normal ones because I put out a very different video last week, and this is going to be sort of a follow-up to that. And the elusive frame, does my hair ever go down? I have super curly hair, so getting it to just stay in one spot is hard, and I need to get a haircut like today, so it'll be down and shorter today. All right, I'm going to pause for a second, and we're going to talk about this mystery microphone that I mentioned. I'm just scrolling through, seeing if anything's happening. Cool. Again, if you got questions, feel free to put a Q:, and I'll get to those. And thank you to all like my streaming and YouTube and Ecamm and Just Create More buddies who are like helping to regulate stuff. But as promised, I had my little timer go off. I want to share something with you that I'm pretty excited about, which is a secret microphone. Basically what happened is a microphone company reached out to me and said, hey, we've got a new microphone coming out. Do you want to check it out? And I said, sure, which is not a hint at all, actually. So they wrote down my name and said, will deliver it to you, other microphone companies, and it'll be neat. Sorry. Anyway, it blew me away to hear that. So basically, microphone company said, hey, we're coming out with a new one. Do you want to check it out? Yes. Sent it to me. They did give it to me for free, and I don't have to give it back, which is cool. And I don't have to make a video about it. I don't have to do anything with it. I'm not obligated, so there's no like funny business there. They just kind of wanted me to check it out and give some feedback on it, microphone feedback. And turns out I thought it was pretty cool. So they also said it's not out yet, so don't show anyone. So I'm not. In fact, I made a prop. I don't know if you're ready for this, but I made the microphone testing booth. So what I can do is I can move things around here, put this here, and now, oh boy, now you don't know what's going on in here, huh? So now you can't see you can't see the microphone when I put it in here and I start talking into it because it's in, well, yeah, here we go, because it's in the box. It will be in the box. There's nothing in there now. So this is the mystery microphone. I'm currently talking into the Shure SM7B. There's no mystery here. This is so stupid. But I'm going to put the mystery mic, which I have secretly hidden under my desk, in the box. Ooh, it's in the box now. Brand new. And I do have it, I don't think. Okay, good. You can't see it from here. I do have it running into the Rodecaster Pro, of course, but it's not running into any effects, and it's not even running through a cloud lifter or any kind of booster. So it has no processing. Its gain is set to plus 35. This is a dynamic microphone. I can tell you that. And actually, I want to put on my headphones so I can hear it. And we will turn down the background music so that way you can just hear the microphone. I'm still talking in to the Shure SM7B. This is my non-disclosure box right here. And also, I'm not doing like an embargo video or anything where whenever this microphone comes out, I don't think there's going to be a bunch of embargo videos on it. But if you were to see other ones, you're not going to see mine there. So this is just for funsies. But this is the Shure SM7B. And now, and keep in mind when I switch to the mystery mic, it is inside a cardboard box. So it might have a weird like reverby. It might have weird things, but hey, it's the best we can do. So this is the Shure SM7B, and I want to bring up the chat. I know I'm delaying it here. And this is the mystery mic. I can't see anything because my face is inside of a box, but this is the mystery mic. Maybe you can see. There we go. Hello. And yeah, so this is running straight into the Rodecaster Pro, mystery mic, and Shure SM7B. The reason I'm using the Shure is because it's a very popular microphone and it's known for being a very good sounding microphone. The Shure is running in through a FET head right now, actually. And there we go here. I'm just trying to see what's in the box. It's a bit boxy sounding. Yes. So this is the Shure, and this Shure is the mystery microphone. You better believe it. I'm trying to just see things over here. So there's a couple things here. I'm curious if you want to hear better sounds of this mystery microphone. I'm looking at the screen. It looks so stupid because I just see my forehead and this big box. But my podcast, you can't see anything, but you can see the chat. Sorry, I'm seeing some things. No, people are doing that. Okay. I'm trying to pull the mic actually out of the box a little bit, but it's still being blocked. So now I actually don't have the mic in the box at all. It's just out in the open, but it's still being hidden behind the box. Yeah, if you guys are having issues seeing stuff, I think that might be on your end because other people are still seeing things. So anyway, this is why I got excited. I did a lot of comparisons on my podcast episode that came out today, which is the Enthusiasm Project. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. And I compared this to the Shure, to the Pod mic, to the Shure MV7, to the Samsung Q9U, to the Audio Technica AT2040. I compared it to a bunch of other mics, and it's a blind audio test. This is the weirdest looking shot. But the thing about this is I thought it sounded pretty good. And what I thought was impressive is, again, this is the mystery mic, and this is the SM7B. In my comparison that I did, maybe I can go to the wide shot so we can kind of see each other again. But in my comparison that I did, I thought that this microphone sounded really close to the SM7B, which was really interesting to me. And I don't know if you think that too. That might just be my ears. It might just be what I thought. But I'm curious what you think in terms of audio quality. I see people saying like, hey, it sounds pretty good, sounds nice, heavy on the plosives. Yeah, that could also be me just having bad mic techniques inside of a cardboard box. So maybe don't judge it too harshly on that. But it probably is worse if we do a plosive test. This is the Shure SM7B. Peter Piper pitched a podcast. This is the mystery mic Peter Piper pitched a podcast. I think it's definitely more sensitive to plosives than the other one, but if I speak more across the front of it, as usual, Peter Piper pitched a podcast. It's a lot better. I still think this is a really good sounding mic, and if I were to like put a pop filter or a different windscreen on it or something, I would bet that plosives would be dramatically reduced. And again, just for comparison, this is the Shure SM7B. So now, what I can tell you is that the mic in the box, the mystery mic, the magic mystery mic, is a dynamic microphone. I can tell you that right there. It's an XLR microphone. It's not a USB microphone. And, again, SM7B, $400 microphone. Mystery microphone in the box over here. Hello, hello, hello. This is the mystery mic. And the thing about this mic is I actually don't have pricing information on it. I asked for it, but I haven't gotten it yet. But based on what I know about it and what I'm thinking and what other microphones exist in this lineup, I'm thinking that this microphone is a direct competitor to stuff like the Pod mic and the Audio-Technica AT2040. Sounds very different than those, but I'm thinking it's actually a direct competitor to those, which means I would expect that this mic would be priced somewhere between $100 and $150. And back on the SM7B now, I think that's pretty cool if that's the case, which I think it will be. I'm waiting to find out for like certain if that's the case, but if that is the case and this is the SM7B, and then for $100, you can get a mic that sounds like this. It's going to be really hard for this not to be my go-to recommendation. It is a microphone that's not out yet, so I can't. It's nothing like, like I saw someone say it's the Q2U or something. It's not a microphone that's out yet, so it's none of those usual suspects. But anyway, this is the mystery mic. Yes, okay. Now I will hide the mystery mic under the desk, my non-disclosure table over here, and back on the Shure. So it took me 45 minutes to make that box the other night. Which actually, Bailey, if you're here, you're the reason I did that, because you were showing me stuff from a video you were working on where you did hand-drawn like signs for your ATEM video, and I was like, that's cool. I'm going to make this mystery box over here. So anyway, Sammy's asking, is it under $100? Like I said, I don't have the exact pricing info, but I think that microphone is going to be somewhere between $100 and $150. If it's $150, it'll be very competitive. If they manage to get it to $100, I think that might be like the go-to one, because what my thought is, just pure speculation on my part, is that it is trying to be a direct competitor to the $100 mics like the Pod mic, maybe even the SM58, the AT2040, and I think it's geared towards the podcasting streaming crowd, and I'm excited to see what people think about it, not knowing what it is. So, let's see here. Does it sound neat? I think it does sound neat. It blew me away, and I'm glad that we are on the road to figuring out what it is for sure. There's all the, I don't know what other companies there are. Anyway, it sounds better. Okay. I think, though, I'm just impressed with how close it sounds to the SM7B. I know that's kind of a cliche thing to do, to go like, hey, this microphone, how does it sound to the SM7B? Because kind of like the Rodecaster, it's like if you want the SM7B, just get it. But the problem is you cannot just get this microphone and be set. Like, you need your interface, your mixer, and you definitely need a signal booster for it for the most part to get it to sound its absolute best. And that, for a lot of people who just want to upgrade their mic, and now the mic plus a booster plus whatever, it could be like over $600 they're spending. It can feel intimidating, and that's not something that I want to do. So this one, if it is like $100 and I was running it without a signal booster, it's pretty cool. And I've been doing a lot of tests with it running through the Clark Technic CT1, which is like a $40 signal booster. And it sounds just as good, but maybe a little better because you just have more flexibility in terms of your levels, which is very, very cool. Okay, on a coffee, very similar sound to the SM7B. See Raphael's here. Cool. Price. I know pricing is strange in other countries. I'm just talking about US pricing. Sometimes stuff that's less expensive here ends up being more expensive in other countries, and it's a whole thing. So let's jump back into questions, and I'm going to try to pick up. We talked about my hair. We were talking about my hair last time. And and productivity. Josh, thoughts on the GoPro Hero 10? I know you are also a GoPro guy, right? Isn't your main shot a GoPro? It's an older one. I love the Hero 10. Also, full disclosure, this was a very proud moment for me. So here's my original GoPro. This is the Hero. I'm making a video about it this week, so that's why this is the Hero, like the first HD one. This one's dead. It doesn't work anymore. And then I had the Hero 3, which was cool. This is still a really fun one because it's like a spy camera. It's so small. And then after a couple years after that, I got the Hero 5. And then the Hero 7 has been my main GoPro because it was the first one that had their super good stabilization. So I really, really like the 7. And I was interested in other ones, and I was really interested in the 10 because its stabilization seems absolutely crazy. And then GoPro actually said, hey, actually what it was because streaming, they reached out and said, hey, we noticed you're using older GoPros in your streams. Do you want the 10? And I said, yeah, I really do. And so they gave me the 10. Again, not to... if you've ever seen like the ethics statement on my website and stuff, I'm very picky about accepting free stuff, but I have spent a lot of money on GoPros over the years, so I don't feel bad about it. I spent a lot of money on microphones over the years, so getting a free product from a company that I've like spent a ton of money on, I don't feel bad about that. And the 10 has been really cool. I can't probably show you like how good the stabilization is and stuff directly here. I'm trying to think if I have a video. It's amazing though. Let's just say that. It's totally amazing. I'll do a whole video on it. It's definitely a worthwhile upgrade. I don't know if you have like the 9 going to the 10. I don't know if that's worth it. But if you have the 8 or older, the 7, the 5, and you're someone who's into action cams, the 10 is really cool. And I find myself using it a lot more because it's a really just fun camera to use. And it's easier to use. It's got a big old screen on the front, which is super cool. And it's like the settings are easier to adjust. The stabilization is better. It's just a really, really good, it's a really good camera. And it's got like, it can shoot at almost 6K, which is cool. But it also has 240 FPS at 2.7K, which if you go to my Instagram yesterday, I posted some slow motion shots of our corgi chasing a ball. It's real fun. You need a lot of light for 240 frames a second, but it's fun. How do I display the comments? Raul's asking. This is through Ecamm Live, and that's what I love. I live for Ecamm Live. Yes, headed to Vid Summit. I'm headed to this desk. No, I'm not going to Vid Summit. Still feeling very questionable about large in-person events. So I'm kind of holding off on that for a bit. Andy, what's up, Andy? Using the Rodecaster Pro connected to the Mic 1 line of the ATEM Extreme ISO. I have both of those things. Once Mic 1 is on, I have a little audio noise in my recording. I think so. What I prefer to do personally is run the Rodecaster directly into the computer separately. If I move your comment up here, you can see like it's just plugged into the computer through USB, and it's its own audio source in Ecamm Live. I like that because that's going to give you the best quality. If you're running it into the ATEM, kind of like Matt mentioned a while ago in the comments, some of the outputs from the Rodecaster, like I don't know if you'd call them analog outputs, but they're not necessarily the best, and the mic preamps in the ATEM are also not the best because the ATEM is primarily a video-centric device, so the preamps in it, like it's not an audio-based device. So what you could do is try boosting your levels in the Rodecaster, like boosting your gain, boosting your output level, and lowering your level in the ATEM, so you're using less of its preamps and more of the Rodecaster's, which are better because it's a dedicated audio device, and that might help. If possible, then I would just recommend running them separately, and that's going to give you the cleanest signal for sure. So I hope that makes sense. Which one would you prefer, the A7S III or the FX3 Iskander and Yanni vlog? That's a great question because I bought the A7S III in May, and I may have definitely had some thoughts of like, oh, should I have gotten the FX3? at the time, the reason they're the same camera. I'm sure you know this if you've done research. The internals are the same. Same sensor, same settings, same everything, same image quality, no difference. It's really just the external. And for me, I really love the top handle on the FX3, but I don't like that it has the audio thing permanently built into it. And if all I wanted was a top handle, it's super easy to just put a cage or a handle on the A7S III. Yeah, that was kind of like my thought process, which wasn't much. I've had zero problems with the A7S III overheating. I know the FX3 has fans, so you're definitely not going to have problems with it overheating. The big thing that the FX3 has that I would really love are the tally lights that are everywhere, like on the front, on the back, on the top. If you're pressing record, that thing glows almost like how the GoPro has lights everywhere. And that is really cool because when you do a lot of things by yourself, sometimes it's hard to be sure that the camera's recording or continuing to record. I love that Sony lets you emphasize the screen. So when you press record, a red outline goes around the screen. But sometimes you might not be in a position where you can see the screen, and it's kind of hard to tell. And I often have panic attacks, sometimes not panic attacks, but I have a wave of panic when I think like I just recorded something for 25 minutes. Was the camera actually recording? Whew, it was. So being able to look at the camera and know immediately, yes, it's on, would be really, really cool. If I were to get, which wouldn't make any sense, but like if I were to get a second camera right now, I'd probably get the FX3 to go with the A7S III. But that would, for my case, that would be like super unnecessary. That would just be for the fun of buying cameras. Rock's the man. You're the man. Difference operationally in the Canon R to the Sonys. Great question. Is there anything the Sony can do that makes it better, easier to stream, film other than overheating? Yes. Again, not to just pimp my podcast, but like my podcast episode that came out today is all about Canon versus Sony. And admittedly, it kind of, as a Canon user since 2007, it's sort of a lot of my frustrations because I really like Canon cameras and I really like Canon lenses, and I really want Canon to be an even more successful company than they are and make good products. But ultimately for Canon, my opinion is that they just value their photo customers more, unless you're talking about the cinema series. But if you're talking about the mirrorless or the DSLR cameras, they're hybrid cameras. But if Canon is ever at a point where they have to make the decision of sometimes photo features and video features clash, and you have to compromise one for the camera to work. And if Canon is ever in a position where they need to compromise something, they will always compromise the video side, not the photo side. And it probably makes sense because I'm sure they've done plenty of research and most of their users are probably primarily photographers. So that's who they're going to cater to. But it's frustrating. Whereas what I've noticed with Sony is they're more willing to differentiate their mirrorless lineup. Like the A7S are video-based cameras that have photo capabilities. The A7R are photo-based cameras that have some video capabilities, and the A7, like just the regular A7, is kind of that hybrid, but it's not going to have all the resolution of the R, and it's not going to have all the video functionality of the S, but it's going to do both pretty well. And they're pretty clear on like, that's what we have, and you pick what you want. And so it means you're going to decide what trade-offs you want to make. So in my case, the things that make it easier, other than the overheating stuff, full-size HDMI out is amazing. No recording limit is amazing. Power, super cool, is that it just runs, you can get a dummy battery and stuff, but you can also just run the camera off of USB-C. So I have it plugged into like a 5-volt USB charger thingy, and that will run the camera forever. Like it's got a full battery, but it's also running off of power. As far as I know, on the Canon side of things, you have to buy the dummy battery converter thing, which works great, but it's like $150. This was $0 extra for me, so I appreciated that very much. Sony's autofocus, which I never would have expected to say a few years ago, is better than Canon's at the moment, which is crazy because I spent a long time thinking that like Sony's first mirrorless cameras did not have good autofocus. And so in my brain, it got stuck that like Sony has bad autofocus. Canon has always had good autofocus. So in my brain, it got stuck. Canon's the good autofocus. And they're both excellent. Like, they're both excellent. But the Sony autofocus is kind of next level excellent. And I'm very excited about that. So what's cool, though, a lot of people will like do the whole I'm switching and this, that, and the other thing. It's kind of cool to run both systems. It can sort of be a pain sometimes for, obvious reasons. But they do have their strengths, and Canon does some things better than Sony. Sony does some things better than Canon, and it's really cool by having both. Then you have like the whole spectrum of all the strengths that both systems have, and I've been really enjoying that, actually, using both of them together. With some DSLRs running $500 to $800, do you recommend investing in these, or a GoPro work better for multicam setup like you have? It depends on what you're looking for. If you want something that has shallow depth of field, and you don't want to use cinematic mode on an iPhone or something, but if you want kind of the shot you're looking at right now, where I'm clearly in focus, your background is kind of blurry, and you maybe want the versatility of being able to change out lenses more easily, obviously a mirrorless camera is the way to go. Probably wouldn't invest in a DSLR at this point, because most companies are phasing them out in favor of mirrorless, and there are a lot of advantages to mirrorless, so I would go with a mirrorless camera. Stuff like a GoPro can be really fun, but I'm using my GoPros because I have them, and I hate when cameras just sit around and don't get used, so I like to find ways to use them and utilize them and do goofy stuff with them. But my main stuff is always like going to be a mirrorless camera. But if you're somebody who doesn't care about the shallow depth of field thing, or somebody for whom that would be actually a bad thing, like you want to do a lot of landscape stuff, you want to do big group things, action stuff where there's, you need this to be in focus and you also need that to be crystal clear, I mean, heck, then yeah, something like an action camera would work really well. The GoPro, I'm curious about, the thing I'm finding is it's plugged in via USB, and it has a webcam app, so you can use it as a webcam, and that's cool, and the quality's good, and I can play with it even more in eCam. However, the thing I'm noticing is that even though it's plugged in with USB, it's still draining the battery. The battery's at about halfway, so it's draining the battery more slowly than it would normally. The battery would not last this long normally, but it's kind of weird, right? Like, it's draining the battery. I don't know. It's kind of annoying. So yeah. Let's see here. Do the Rodecaster sound panels work with memory cards? You load the sounds directly through the Rodecaster companion app, or you can record them directly. And I think, you know what? I'm such a, like, I get stuck in my way. Yeah. You can load them through the companion app. You can actually record stuff on the fly directly to them and do some basic editing. But as far as I know, they can't pull stuff from the memory card of the Rodecaster. It's in the internal memory. But I don't know how much it is, but there's a lot of internal memory. Like, I've done long like interview clips on the sound pads with no problems. So it's good. Do you think they will put something in place to quiet the audio music when you talk automatically, like ducking? That would be cool if it's effective. A lot of times I have found things like auto ducking, auto noise gates, stuff like that are so aggressive that they're like too distracting, because you hear it. I stop talking and then the music shoots up, and then I start talking and the music shoots down. And I have found that to be kind of annoying. So yeah, that's just me there. To use the Blackmagic Hyperdeck, I don't. I did at my job, we used Hyperdecks. I'm using the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO right now, and I like it. Blackmagic makes some cool stuff. What's the next thing that you want to buy for your channel? I don't, honestly, I have a little list over here of like stuff I need, and I always have like, I want a new microphone and I want new this and that, like funsies things. But the thing I actually need is I need a new good tripod, because the one I'm using is great. It's a Manfrotto tripod and a Manfrotto video head, but it's the only one I have, and I just need a new like good video tripod. I have my Benro travel tripod, which is awesome, and I use it all the time, but something that has a nice smooth video head is something that I need, and really strong legs to hold up a lot of weight. And it's like, mine's 10 years old. It works great. And it's compared to new cameras and lenses and microphones and stuff, like a new tripod is a very easy thing to purchase, but I just keep putting it off. But that's the thing I actually like need next. For lights, I'm not sure which would be better for a clean, bright, and crisp scene, the Light Dome Mini 2 or the Lantern. It depends. So I'm using, I don't know if you can see it in this shot, but yeah, right up there. My key light is in the Light Dome Mini 2. I have the big, crazy light dome from Nanlite. I think it's the 90 centimeter one. It's about the same size as the regular aperture light dome, and it's beautiful, and it's awesome, and it's way too big for this room, so I don't use it in here. But the Light Dome Mini fits perfect, And I have the light facing away from me, bouncing off of the wall, as a lot of you probably know, to kind of illuminate the room. And that works great for me, and I like that because there's no bright lights shining directly into my eyes. The lantern would be cool if you wanted to illuminate the whole space with a very soft light. Like if you wanted the light to shine on you, but also shine on the background at like the same intensity, that's where the lantern would be really cool. The light dome would be cool if you wanted to be able to direct the light a little more. You can direct lights with lanterns too, because they usually come with like blackout parts that you can put around them to kind of like curtains to direct the light a little bit. And lanterns are super fun. But the Light Dome Mini has worked really, really well for me, and I like it a lot. What's up, Mingus TV? You are a Canon user for videos, use a GH5 and a G9 with adapted Canon lenses for streams. Thinking of switching to Canon for live streaming, switching the G9 over to an EOS RP. Is that a good idea? The RP, I think, is an underrated camera, but, and I know you have your lens line up, the R gives you so much more for at this point, especially going into the holiday season, which I can't believe we're already doing. You'll probably see some pretty crazy discounts on the R. I saw it last year went down below $1,400 US at one point, and that was a year ago, so it wouldn't surprise me to see it around like the $1,300 mark. And the R is a lot more camera, so I would recommend that. But I don't know if you want to adapt lenses or whatever. The Sony ZV-E10 for $800, you get the camera plus a lens, and it's like built for streaming in a lot of ways. It's kind of hard not to just make that the go-to recommendation. Yeah, so the Sony ZV-E10 is kind of what I would actually recommend. Margaret, maybe somebody else can answer this. Why is audio around -20 to -15? The why, I don't know. Like, I know that you're supposed to level out things around like -16 and all that, and that's what makes it sound the best, and it gives you plenty of room to play on different speakers and sound systems. The why behind that, I don't know, and I've always wondered why, like, the level it's supposed to be at isn't just 0, and then you go, I don't know. So maybe one of the actual audio pros in the chat can inform us on that. Can you plug in a regular non-XLR microphone to the Rodecaster? I'm assuming you're talking about a USB microphone? USB microphones, no. 3.5 millimeter microphones or something you could plug into the smartphone channel or get an XLR adapter for, and they will work. Any tips to get the wireless Rode Go 2 to work best with the Rodecaster Pro? Kind of what I just said, actually. You can plug the cable from the receiver into the smartphone channel, but if you want the full functionality, you can get a 3.5 millimeter to XLR cable or an adapter, and then you can plug the receiver directly into the XLR channel on the Rodecaster, and you'll be all set. It totally works, and it's good. Out of the box, what's up, Andrew? It's nice to see you here. If you could collaborate with any creator, who would it be? It would be you. I mean, there's so many. I'm really bad. So collaboration is a thing that happens on YouTube, right? I'm terrible. Like, sometimes people will send me messages and things and going like, hey, do you want to do a collab? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, honestly, I have no idea like how to do that, how to approach it in a way that's not like boring or terrible or something. That's just me. I'm bad at thinking of that. So what I'd love to do though is meet and which is why my wife and I, we started a community for YouTube people. A lot of people are here right now. It's called Just Create More. You can go to justcreatemore.com. That's a sales pitch. Because we didn't have that locally and we wanted to do that virtually. The biggest collaboration I've been trying to figure out forever is Peter Lindgren, because we do our podcast together, but we live on other sides of the planet. And so we've tried to find fun ways of like, not just doing a like, here's Tom saying something, here's Peter saying something, here's Tom saying something, here's Peter saying something, but like make it a little more like seamless, even though we can't be in the same physical space. And I think we have an idea. And if time permits, we're going to try to do that. I see Derek is saying some of us can't see your feed. Myself are two of the many, I'm sure. Your views are under 200. Views under 200 is actually totally normal for life. This is actually a lot for me. So that's normal. I'm not sure what's happening, though, why things are showing up, not showing up. It's got to be a thing on YouTube's end. So I unfortunately can't do anything about it. maybe YouTube is just having issues today, bugs. I don't know. If somebody has a suggestion of a way to fix that for me, totally. About acoustics, wouldn't your screens be a nightmare? Yes. 100% yes. I was silly, and I thought that having the screen here was actually helping improve the sound, because it was kind of like, yeah, and I was wrong. And you might have noticed in some of my more recent videos, I've been standing up more, which actually helps because the desk is a reflective surface and the screens are reflective surfaces. And so a way around that is to be close to the microphone. When I use the Rode VideoMic NTG and you don't see a microphone in the frame, it's really close out of the frame, and it seems to pick up a little less reflection that way. But what was really funny, speaking of, I don't know where I put it. Oh yeah, the Deity microphone. Oh no, this wasn't Deity. These guys are nerds for audio, and I love that. But it was actually Sennheiser. That's right. I had a question about a Sennheiser microphone, and I talked to them, and then they put me in touch with one of their engineers who ended up being like one of the coolest people that I've met, and a giant audio nerd. And he ended up taking like screenshots of my videos and like waveform analysis of my audio and trying to figure out like why I was getting unpleasant frequencies in certain areas. And so he was literally like, well, if you see the desk is here and the screen is here, and if you position this here and the mic at this angle, it was very long. Like, I loved it. It was really cool. Like, the people behind everybody I've met at Rode, Sennheiser, Shure, whatever, the people behind the scenes are just giant audio nerds. And that makes me so happy, because it's not just about selling the product, but like they really, really want to know. And so he and I did a bunch of things where I started covering stuff with blankets and sending him like test footage and test audio and stuff. And the screen is a huge reflective surface that creates a lot of reverby sounds. And that's a problem, which is why it's probably hard to see actual distance here, but it's pretty far away from me, especially talking into this mic right now. So it's not really a problem right now. And since I put it on my boom arm that I talked about a few weeks ago, it's so easy to position out of the way when I'm recording. So it's not an issue anymore. But prior to that, when the screen was just kind of always right here, it was really creating some weird stuff. And the desk being a hard surface, even with this mat, is also, I'm speaking down and the voice going and like bouncing all over the place from here. You know, is what it is, but I like having a desk where I can set stuff and show things, and if I'm talking about that. But if you notice, a lot of times more recently I've been standing up in videos. That's because I like standing while talking, but also because it does actually help the audio sound better, because I'm just above all these reflective surfaces that are down here. So yes, you are correct, and that is something to be aware of, and I think a lot of people overlook that. How do you use Stream Deck sounds on Teams, Zoom, etc.? You would just have to load your sounds into the stream. That's a good question, actually. Well, because the Stream Deck is just triggering audio from another application. So wherever your audio is coming from, that would be your audio source in Zoom, Teams, like that application. And then your Stream Deck would just be triggering it. The Stream Deck's not like containing any audio or anything. So one way to possibly do that would be to use something like Loopback, where you could take your microphone audio plus your sound effect program audio, combine them into a single audio source, and then choose that as your audio source in Teams or whatever application you're using. I do have a video on my channel about Loopback, and you can check that out on how to do that. You can loop back around to that. What are you using to overlay question stream? Ecamm Live. If you want Ecamm Live, there's a link in the description, which is kind of awesome. They have the best affiliate program ever, but also like, I love Ecamm. I pay full price for Ecamm. It's great. We just did that one. Waiting for my pod mic to arrive in Brazil. I'm glad it didn't cost $1 Brazilian. Bought it because of my review. Will it work nicely on a Scarlett 2i2 without a cloud lifter? Yes, and question mark. It depends on what you're running to. The answer to a lot of these questions is it depends. Yes, it will work. You will find that you probably have to max out the gain on the Scarlett, but depending on what you're running into, if you have another gain adjustment that you can make through software, it'll probably be fine. If you have a loud voice, it'll probably be fine. I know people who use the SM7B through the Rodecaster, no cloud lifter, and it's super loud because they just have big, loud voices. If you're kind of quieter or you're not running through anything after the Scarlett, then you probably need some kind of booster. I'm going to do a video on those because I got a bunch of them and I've been trying to like test them out. So far, I've really been liking the Clark with a K, Technic CT1, which is very much like a FET head. It's like an inline booster thingy. I could actually even show you. Where is my buttons? I have so many buttons and the bell. Yeah, if I move this camera over here, oh, it's on an arm. Here's the Clark Technic. It goes in line. Yeah, there we go. That's that guy. It's like $40, and to my ears, it works just as good as a FET head, just as good as a cloud lifter, just as good as anything else, and it's a lot more affordable. So don't get the signal booster before you get the mic. Get the mic, see how it works, and then if you decide you need one because your situation requires it, then get it. But if you can save the money, why not save the money? What's your recommended workflow for streaming? I only use Wi-Fi. I know that's like a big sin. It's been on our to-do list to get wired Ethernet. So I don't know. We have like crappy Wi-Fi. So my workflow is that I just hope it doesn't go out. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer. What's up, Keely? Can you share some thoughts on using graphic plus audio transitions when you switch scenes in eCams? I'm not sure whether they're worth the work. Yeah, so my eCam, as you can tell, I'm basic. I don't have crazy transitions. I don't use a lot of crazy overlays. Not for any real reason other than that I just kind of forget. But I think it looks cool. Some people have their shows looking like total productions, and it's like really impressive. I do think, though, sometimes it can get taken a little too far. And I've seen stuff where it's like there's so many flashy things and sound effects, and this is happening that like I can't pay attention to people on the screen, or in a situation like this where they're just talking, they're like this tiny little box in the middle of the screen. Can I do that? No, I can't change my size with my scene, but they're like real tiny in the middle, and they have like huge overlays with just stuff everywhere. And I'm like, it's so overwhelming to me that I think it actually hurts because then I can't pay attention. But I've seen a lot of people, especially in the eCam group, like the usual suspects, have a lot of really nice, like just a quick transition. Bradley has a really cool, like simple, classy way of making transitions. I think he does it extremely well, and I would recommend that. Uh-oh, Leo. Thank you, Leo, for the super chat. I'm not seeing it on my eCam, so I can't pop it up on screen yet. But thank you. You do not have to do that, but I appreciate it. And it's funny because your question was like the next one. It's not the super chat one, but hey. The blue paper backdrop that you used for your latest thumbnail, what size did you choose? Your room is quite small. Yes, I would love to talk about that. So my backdrop is right over here to the right. And if you saw like older videos of mine, you might know that there's just a window back here, which I just usually kept the blinds closed on. And the problem with that was it just looked ugly. Like I tried to have curtains that looked cool, but it just looked ugly whenever it got on camera. And so I was sort of stuck with the angles I was filming, and I was always trying to avoid just showing the window because it looked ugly. And so what I did was I got those, I mean, I can show you, where's my NDI? Boop, 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 boop. Maybe it'll still go. Let's see here. Oh, no, there it is. Yeah. So cool. I apologize if this is, can I zoom in? I can. I just got those same, the basic like impact from B&H thingies with the rollers and the chains. And I forget exactly, I feel like this was 56 inches. It's basically 4 feet. So it's the one, I don't know what that is, like 3.25 meters-ish, something like that. That's what I got there. I currently only have the blue and the gray and room for one more. The gray is nice because it's kind of like a classic one, and it's still good as reflecting this fill light. And then the blue is way more fun, but the problem with the blue is that if I have it down all the time, then it reflects blue light on me and I look blue. So I can't have it down all the time. But this has actually been really cool, especially with the monitor on the arm, because when I want to do something, as you might have seen in the stream I did a couple weeks ago, I can push the monitor out of the way, and now I actually have like a usable backdrop space for products and stuff. A lot of the stuff I talk about is relatively small. So these small window size things, I just literally measured the window and then got paper that's like slightly bigger than the window, just from B&H. It's the Savage backdrop paper. which is really, really good. I got the small rolls, but there's more on those than I'll ever use in here. So yeah, that's that. So thanks for that question. There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to get through. So I apologize, but I'm also trying to keep up with the chat because I don't want to fall behind, you know? But yeah, there's good stuff happening here. I love the community of audio video nerds that has assembled around this channel. That makes me very happy. I mean that in a very positive, happy way. not in a bad way. Let's see. Rocks the man again. A7S III versus R for streaming and events. I mean, A7S III if you can afford it. I know I love the R, and the R is less than half the price of the A7S III. So if budget is your thing, then Sony's the way, or then the R is the way to go. But in 2021, Sony's pretty good. But also, like I mentioned, the ZV-E10, which is a crop sensor, is an option. And then supposedly we're on the cusp of the A7 IV coming out, which should be significantly less expensive than the A7S III, but still offer a lot of the functionality based on rumors. So it might be worth checking that out and then seeing what's going to happen. The R, I still think, is an amazing value, especially because the price just keeps going down. And even the 1080 on the R really holds up to the 4K on the Sonys. Like, and the 4K on the R is really good if you can work within the crop. Like, it's really good. So the R is a super solid camera. But realistically, just looking at like, well, it's 2021 and, you know, full frame 4K is a nice thing to have. So there we go. Cool. Aubrey, what's up, Aubrey? Can you tell me again how you hooked up your Shure Super 55 different? Yes, 2 ways. So Aubrey, if you go watch last week's video about the Elgato low profile boom arm, that's pretty much the easiest way. Because to do that, I just use this adapter thingy that you have. I know you have this one. And I just put the Shure on that, and then that's it. So that was the easiest way. On the PSA-1, or a more traditional thing, I actually had to make this little adapter for the Super 55. And basically what it's built around... Oh, you know what? Let's use the phone so that way I can show you a close-up. It's sort of a hodgepodge, and there's probably like multiple ways to achieve this exact same result. But basically, what I have here is the heart of it is this little small rig ball mount. These are relatively inexpensive, but this is just like a friction mount from Small Rig. It's not for audio usually, it's for like camera gear and stuff. And then what I did was I put... I don't know, I had this thing around it. This is an adapter. Essentially, these are 3 adapters, but the goal was to go from a 3/8 inch to a 1/4 20 inch, both female. And then that goes on here. Yes. And this is the side then that goes onto the PSA-1, because the PSA-1, it has a 3/8 inch mount. So this is what lets me mount that to that. And then on this side, I have, these are again, just the adapters I had. I had the 1/4 20 to 3/8 mount going into a 3/8 to 5/8 mount. The 1/4 20 goes there, and then this is what goes into the Shure. And now you can position it at an angle and adjust it. If you don't know where to get all these different mounts and things, this little guy from Rode is really helpful because it just comes apart and it's all these different adapters. So maybe like grab a couple of these little guys. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but you essentially just need to end up with something that goes from 3/8 inch to 5/8 inch and lets you like do a right angle. And I just have a lot of adapters, so that's what I used, but that's not the only way to do it. I feel like that's probably an overwhelming amount of info, but that was how I did it, and it works. But like I said, just using this on the Elgato low profile arm worked perfect. I didn't need anything else. Oh, I guess I did need an adapter. No, because it comes with an adapter. I didn't even need another adapter. Yeah, so that arm's awesome. Arm yourself with that arm. That's what I would say. How did you decide? Oh, this is a good one. How did you decide what perks to offer for channel members? I want to make a Patreon for my podcast, but I can't think of any cool perks to offer. Yes. So I have Patreon and channel memberships, and both are basically the same. The logic behind that was that my Patreon's really small. Channel memberships are growing, which is cool, and I like that. But the perks are the same. Patreon I like because it's not connected to YouTube. So if something were to happen, because YouTube sometimes makes mistakes and demonetizes channels by accident, everything would go there. So channel memberships plus ad revenue plus all that stuff would be gone because it's all connected. Whereas Patreon's over here separate. So if something even happens on YouTube, it doesn't affect this at all. Plus, it's super easy. You can use Patreon. Like, hey, if you want to support the channel, go to Patreon. If I'm on a podcast, hey, go to Patreon. Like, it's just more universal. But YouTube channel memberships are so well integrated to YouTube. You can do community posts, super easily do members only streams, super easily do like it's so easily integrated into YouTube that like I really like it. It's super easy on the creator side of things, and that's cool. Now what I decided, a big thing a lot of people do is they make all these promises like you get one new video a week and you get this and behind the scenes that, and then their Patreon or their channel membership stuff becomes like a full-time job that they then have to manage. And I didn't want to do that. So the perks are things that fit easily into my workflow. And I don't have specific, it's not like you get every Tuesday, you get this thing. It's just like, hey, you get video versions of podcasts. So when Peter and I do our podcasts, we're doing it through Ecamm. Like literally we just have to hit record and now there's a video version that I can put up and people can watch. My own podcast, kind of the same. It takes a little more work because it's not normally done. I don't normally do it through video. So it's stuff that's a little easy for me to do. It's also been easy through something like Ecamm where I don't even need to use the memory card. I can just hit record and then do quick video updates. So stuff like that became the perks. In addition to just communication, like creating a Discord server for members and stuff has been really cool because then it's an easy way to communicate, kind of like we're doing now, but without having to be running a live stream, and that's cool. And those are the big ones. I did start putting everybody's names at the end of videos, which is not officially a perk because I wasn't sure I wasn't sure if I could keep up with it, but it's been easy. It's worked well. And the reason I did that was just because I'm a patron of other channels where you get to have your name in it. And even though like one of them is Joel Haver, who has, I don't know, 4,000 patrons. So literally your name is this big on screen for half a second, but you better believe I look for my name at the end of every video and I always feel good. I'm like, there it is. No one else is ever going to see it or care, but I like it. And I realize if I like that, other people might like it too. And so that's why I started doing that. So anyway, long story long, the way I chose my perks was to just essentially say, hey, what would people be interested in that's not going to then be a second job on my part? Like what fits naturally into my workflow? Sometimes I'll even make videos and I'll go on like a tangent in the video. And I realize as I'm editing, like, oh, this isn't good in the video. People won't want to watch this. The general like person who stumbles across my channel isn't going to care about this, but members would. So I can take that part and then I don't lose it. It goes up to members and stuff. And members only streams and stuff are fun because you get to just have a little more in-depth conversation and stuff. And that's cool. Can you recommend any replacement for the DBX 286 not in rack format? I'm not super familiar with that level of audio gear, but I can recommend you either asking Doc Rock, who's one of my favorite people and is very familiar with the DBX and could probably give you a very equivalent recommendation, or check out someone like Curtis Judd, or even Bandrew Scott from Podcastage would probably be a good person to ask. You'd even just reach out to him on like Twitter or something. I'm sure he would answer you. Noah, do you want to know if I still use RLX products in my school studio? You work for RLX. Oh, okay. I actually don't work at the school anymore, but they do still use it. They have, it's everything I ordered, so it's the same stuff. But yeah, all of the sound panels, which are covering 2 studios, are RLX sound panels. Big reason for that, because they are thicker and work well, but also The safety part of being like super flame retardant is very important, especially anywhere, but especially in like a classroom setting. And then the tall ones, the acoustic panels that are on like microphone stands so you can move them around, those are such lifesavers. They're like 2 feet by 4 foot, big, thick sound panels that are just on their own stands, and you can easily move them around. And even like if you have like 4 of them, you can make a little sound booth out of them. Yeah, that studio is all Auralex. You guys make amazing stuff, and I'm happy you were happy that they bought it for me. Axel, I use a Rode USB Mini for my video calls. It's boomed right out of frame. Is it worth upgrading to a shotgun mic or Rode NT5 with an XLR interface? That's a good question. I mean, okay, if your calls sound good, then they sound good. No, save yourself the time and the money and the hassle. If you're unhappy with the sound, then it could be worth the upgrade, but still, a lot of stuff is still, like, if you want the best quality, it's going to need to be in the frame, in which case you could probably just put the Rode in the frame and get the same sound quality. So I don't know that you would actually get improved sound quality. Maybe a boom kind of thing might help a little bit if you're just out of frame and it's not too far away. It could be a good choice. But part of me is thinking you might not actually notice a huge difference if it's going to be at the same distance. I know it probably doesn't, it's not like the most helpful answer, but that's my answer. Oh, Cloudlifter. Yeah, I'm sure you asked this question before I talked about it, but the Clark Technic has been amazing, and I've been using it a lot to see if it's going to like break or something. And no, it's been perfect so far. What jobs would you recommend that combine IT and communications/broadcasting? I mean, I don't know that I could recommend a job. I can just speak to my own personal experience, which is like becoming a digital media teacher and getting to do stuff where I was setting up my own studios and ordering all these cool products for, classroom stuff. I started as an English teacher, but I was really interested in photo video stuff because I've done that my whole life. And that just kind of was a thing that people knew. Like my bosses knew that, the students knew that. Like that was just something I always did. I incorporated into my class as much as I could. And then when the time popped up where it was like, hey, there's an opening in this media program, they turned to me and said, you seem like that would be a good person to do that. And I was. So it's not so much that I can recommend a specific job other than, it's sort of hard to recommend a specific job, but finding a job at a place, everybody has communications needs, everybody has media needs, everybody has IT needs. So finding a place that you think has those needs, but isn't, it would probably be like finding an IT situation for an organization that maybe isn't utilizing media in an effective way as they could be. And then you kind of show up and you're like, yeah, I'm setting up your network stuff or whatever, but also like, hey, we should stream this meeting, or, what about setting up a channel for this or that or whatever. And it's sort of, if you just become known as like that guy who's really good at that stuff, people can then tap into that and want you to do more. I don't know if they'll pay you more for it is the tricky part. Like you also want to get paid for your skills. So not like a specific thing. Digital media teacher. There you go. That's a good one. Be a high school digital media teacher, and that'll save you there. Tips for buying your first camera. Yes. Okay. One, make sure your audio is good first. That's my tip for buying your first camera, is get good audio. Assuming you've got your audio set up. Don't get a cheap camera. There are good budget options out there. Yes. But a lot of them do have limitations, and you'll be like, hey, I saved a bunch of money because I only spent $300 on this thing. But you're going to pay for that in frustration down the line when you realize it's limited in some way, or it's not doing what you want, or it's not performing the way that you want. It's absolutely worth saving up and investing in something good. Again, my go-to recommendation right now for a lot of people is the Sony ZV-E10 because it's relatively affordable. $800 for a 4K camera with a lens that does photo and video, has amazing autofocus, can stream right out of the box without a capture card. It's pretty cool. So that's my recommendation there, and just sticking with something like your phone even until then. Like if you have good audio and your picture is decent enough, you will be fine. And then especially once you get your feet wet, like if you spend a whole bunch of money on a camera and you stream for a little bit and you're like, actually, I don't like this, then you're going to feel like you wasted your money. You could still sell it, I guess. But if you stream for a bit, even just starting with your phone, which might be something you're already doing, or a cheap camera or an old GoPro or something, and you do it for a while and you really like it, then you'll be more comfortable spending a larger amount of money on a more expensive thing. Even if that means you got to save up for a while. I'm looking at my GoPro. The battery's going down over there. Good option, but an option for 2 cameras plus screen share switching. I mean, that's Sony ZV-E10. Like, that's my go-to, like, the cheapest camera I would recommend. Put it that way, I guess. Do you have experience using RGB lights to light up your background? I do. If so, will all colors show up fine against a blue painted wall? No. So all my lights in here are RGB, but they're just set to daylight, actually. So they're not, but I have a blue wall, so it looks blue. The lights in person and the lights on camera often look very different, especially stuff like purples and reds just look totally different on camera than they do in person. Greens also, most of the colors. So if you're using a blue wall, you're not gonna be able to change your blue to like a totally pink wall or something like that. But yeah, so I don't, yeah, but regular lights look good. You can definitely add like hints of color. And the big thing is to use actual video lights, because if you use just like the super cheap RGB lights, you can get like an RGB floodlight for $20 or something on Amazon. I use those for a long time. They work, but they also flicker like crazy, and that's very frustrating. So if your camera is like, maybe it'll be fine, but if one little setting gets changed and suddenly your thing is flickering like crazy and it looks terrible. So it's worth getting an actual video light, because it will never flicker on any camera settings. And just experimenting with it, seeing what colors work with your setup and what colors don't. If you've got a blue wall and you just throw daylight color on it or slightly blue color on it, it's really going to make things pop. If you want to get away from the blue, you probably need a different wall. That's kind of the answer there, speaking from experience. But I love the blue wall, so I'm cool with that. Would it make a different choice in camera body if you would be doing behind the scenes? No, I mean, I love all my cameras. The more I use the Sony, the more I like it, which is not something I thought I would have said a couple years ago, but it's very true. And I use my camera. I mean, most of the stuff you see on YouTube is me in here in this environment, but if I go somewhere or, just want to take photos or whatever, probably use this camera. If I'm just doing photos only, then I just definitely use the R, because it's got a higher resolution sensor. But if I'm doing primarily video, maybe with a few photos, then I just take the A7S III wherever I'm going. And I like it a lot. It works out. Do I do consulting and reviews for other YouTube, Twitch channels? I do have some limited consulting open up for the remainder of the year. You can go to himynameistom.com and see if that works for you. It's fun. I'm fortunate that I have a 100% record of only working with cool people so far, so nobody's ever been a nightmare. But I've been doing consulting for the past year, actually almost exactly a year, and it's been really fun. A lot of it is helping people set up studios and figure stuff out, but I've also done a few like YouTube and podcast reviews. Not so much coaching sessions. That's really where my wife's strong points are, is YouTube coaching. But I mean, obviously, like, I put effort and time into a YouTube channel. I definitely can, go through and work. I've thought about these things a little bit, so I can help you a little bit. Not that I have everything solved. Is there a new budget version of the pod mic? Well, yeah, if you weren't here, I mean, I'll do it at the end. There's potentially one. There's like the Audio Technica AT2040, which I did a comparison video on. That's also $100. It's really like geared towards competing for the pod mic. I really liked it, but the more I've been using it since making that video, the more I'm still kind of like, I like the pod mic better. There's something about the Audio Technica that has like there's just something about it that I'm not liking as much, but I think you could EQ it. The secret microphone that I have down here, which I can do another sound check for in a minute, if it ends up being at that price point, I think that might be my go-to recommendation. I think the pod mic is still the coolest looking of all of them. Mac, what's up, Mac? What's the light I'm using from the dome? I have a UL 150 Godox. This is the Nanlite Forza 200, and it's awesome, and I love it. Is that a GoPro on the mic arm? Yes, Aaron. If you weren't here earlier, I did put my GoPro on my boom arm for no reason, but I just think, especially if I position the camera right, I just think this looks kind of cool. I don't know. Why not? I just wanted to find a way to stream with the GoPro Hero 10 Black, which is what I'm using right there. So, yeah, that's a GoPro on a boom arm. PC versus Mac for Adobe software. Honestly, I'm a Mac guy, but I would probably say PC if you're only using Adobe, because it seems like Adobe prioritizes PC. I might be speaking out of my backside, but I mean, I use Photoshop and everything. I use Adobe products on Macs wonderfully, but it seems like they make the PC version first and then like figure out how to make it work on Mac. So if you're primarily using, that's my thought. If you're primarily using only Adobe stuff, PC would be the way to go. And then you could have the fun of building your own PC. In use cases, would you apply MIDI control on the Rodecaster Pro on your channel? I do have a video about this, but I haven't like really incorporated it in my workflow, because you can change stuff like the sound pads to be MIDI controls. So instead of using like a Stream Deck, you could use these pads to change everything. But the reason I haven't done that is because the Stream Deck, you know, if you're not familiar with the Stream Deck, I'm sure most people who are watching this probably are, but the Stream Deck has customizable keys. Each key is basically like, it looks like a little screen. And so every time you change it, you get a new illuminated custom, you can change it to whatever you want, custom thing. And that to me is just easier than trying to remember, oh yeah, the blue button is my GoPro scene. Whereas like the one that says next scene is my next scene button is just easier for me. But that's a way to do it. You could basically, I don't want to say eliminate a Stream Deck. You could do a lot of the functionality of a Stream Deck with the Rodecaster, which could be cool. Do you still think the M1 Mac Mini is super great? Yeah. I mean, I did a review 2 weeks ago about it. It's what I'm using right now. It's awesome. I'm very, very, very excited for whatever they're going to announce, I think in October, because after I sold my 16-inch MacBook Pro, I just have kept that money saved, set aside, because I still want a good laptop so I can have portable power. And I've been waiting for whatever the rumored 14-inch MacBook would be, and I'm very excited about that. But otherwise, the M1 Mac Mini is freaking amazing. And there's also rumors they might update the Minis next month as well too, which would be cool. Bro, Rodecaster mic with best interface under $150. I mean, interface, the best $150 interface is probably just going to be the Scarlett 2i2. I tried to look up cheaper ones. You can get like the Scarlett Solo, which is a little cheaper, but it's nice to have the 2 inputs because you never know when you might need them. And so that's kind of my cheapest interface recommendation is the Scarlett. Whose live stream do you respect? Any subject matter? Oh, I love live streams. There's a lot of people in here. So Doc Rock is here. I watch him stream like 10 times a week. Raphael asks a question. Raphael Ludwig, 2 questions below this one. He's an amazing streamer who's really good at like, this is like the point I'm making in today's stream, the purpose of the stream, and we're focusing on it. He's amazing at that. There's also, oh shucks, who was I mean, Sammy's in here. Sammy's Superstar. Peter Gregg. I learned about eCam. I learned about multicam stuff. I learned about audio from Peter Gregg's live streams. There's a channel called Densely, Densle, who does Blender animations. Well, it does a lot of stuff, but it is a lot of Blender animations, and he does live streams of him doing his Blender animations. So I love that. And of course, in the chat right now, there's Aaron Parecki, who is the live streaming master. And if you don't believe me, go to Aaron Parecki's channel and watch his studio tour video, because it is NASA mission control. Like, he could land something on Mars with the stuff that's in his studio. So those are a lot of the ones that I bounce back and forth. I'm a member of the eCam Facebook group, and that is an amazing group of people, and a lot of people from their stream. And I just sort of spend my free time bouncing around their streams, and it's really fun. Speaking of Raphael, which would you feel is a good time to open up YouTube memberships? It's like, That's a hard question. I would say when people are kind of asking for it, you asked for it. But what I mean by that is people will start saying like, hey, do you have memberships? Do you have a Patreon? Because maybe they either want extra content or whatever, or they just want to support you. And when you kind of notice that, that's a good point. YouTube memberships are so, well, both of them, Patreon and YouTube, are so easy. But like having a YouTube membership where you can post an early video, do a members only live stream or whatever, it's kind of awkward to do a members only live stream if you have like one member and they don't show up. But there's very little, like, if you open it up and nobody joins, it doesn't really hurt anything. The awkward part is when there are like 2 or 3 members and it's like, okay, how much extra stuff can I put out there for 2 or 3 people? Like, it's hard to say that is worth the effort. The juice is worth the squeeze, if that makes sense. How do you take YouTube message selection for your stream? Oh, this is just Ecamm Live, the magic of Ecamm Live. I'm telling you. Hey, is it a TB secret when it comes to the in-camera setting on my Sony a7S III? No. Right now I have picture profile off. The auto dynamic range is off. I'm at 30 frames per second, so 1/60th is my shutter speed. Aperture is f4 and ISO is at 100. Those are my settings right there. And then in Ecamm, I did play with some of the settings. I have my LUT going a little bit. So if I max it out, then I get kind of orange and crazy bright. So I have my LUT a little bit. I kind of like that a little. And then I have just some of the brightness and saturation through Ecamm. Played around till I like it. Nothing crazy. Neil, you're sorry for the late to the stream. Well, apology not accepted. I'm just kidding. Are you connecting the GoPro via USB? The GoPro 10 I'm connecting through USB, and then they have a webcam app, and then it just shows up as a video source in Ecamm. So the thing that bothers me is all of my other GoPros forever have had HDMI ports on the side, the 3, 5, and 7, so I can just use them as part of the ATEM with HDMI. But as far as I know, the 10 and then the 9, maybe even the 8 don't have that. You have to get like this kit that kind of, like, it's like a case that goes around it and puts on a microphone and all those ports. I just want the HDMI. I don't want all the other stuff, and it's like $80. So that was kind of annoying because I can't run it into the ATEM, but now it shows up as a separate video source, which means I can build totally separate scenes with it or do picture-in-picture stuff, and it's awesome. So I actually really like that. All right. What do you think of the HyperX Quadcast S, and how does it compare to the Solocast? I've heard of those things. That's it. I've not used them. So I don't know. And unless I've done a lot of research on something and I feel comfortable talking about it, I'm usually not comfortable talking about stuff that I haven't actually used or I'm not familiar with. So I don't know. Have you tried using Midi on the Rodecaster to faders to control ATEM audio? No, I haven't, because I just run all my audio through the Rodecaster. So I'm definitely guilty of, once I get parts of my workflow in place, I just never change it. And that can be good because it helps things continue to run effectively, but it can also be bad because then, you know, you miss out on stuff sometimes. Live production tips and tools. At what subscribe count would you recommend to start live streaming for a small tech channel? Oh, I mean, I did my first live stream as my 50 subscriber celebration. So that was me on a phone out in the garage, just being happy about hitting the 50 subscriber milestone. You can honestly, like, I have friends and stuff who stream and they have 5 subscribers, you know, like, you do you. Just be comfortable. Go watch my live streaming mistakes video from a couple weeks ago and just follow those guidelines. Like, have a purpose to your stream. And that way, if you have a purpose and you're trying to explain something, it doesn't even matter if nobody shows up because you're still running through something and the replay could have value. And if you were to consistently live stream, like every week, every other week, or whatever works for you, people will start showing up. And you'll probably, I would say after a month or two, you'd probably have at least a solid crew of 4 or 5 people who are always there, and then it could potentially grow from there. So that's what I would say. Should I be using both the master compressor and the individual compressors on the Rodecaster Pro Veggie Grinder? That sounds delicious. It's almost lunchtime. You should be doing whatever you think sounds good. You're not doing anything wrong. If you have your settings set however you have them and it sounds good to you, it's right. What I do, I can just tell you what I do is I only use the master compressor and I don't use the channel compressors, just because I think that's what sounds good. And I like, especially when my wife Heather and I do our stream in here on her channel, and we're both talking through the mics and we have very different voices and very different ranges in our voices. I like that both of those things go out into the master compressor and get evened out, and it works. Would you do a review on I think they might be on my list. I would consider, I just have so much stuff to do. I know it's like, boy, poor you. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like I have so many things on my to review list that I want to get through before they become irrelevant that I'm trying to get through that stuff. That's like kind of what like this table over here is, like stuff that I'm reviewing. No question, thumbnail for the stream is fire. It was the one I made for my mistakes live stream, but I like it so much that I wanted to use it again. So there we go. Do you have external power on all cams, or is it battery? They are all being run through power right now, external power. But when I was primarily using the EOS R, and whenever I do use the EOS R as a second camera, that is battery only because I don't have the thing. And that battery for streaming lasts like 4 hours. So I did an entire school year of full-time online teaching last year using the EOS R on battery power with no problems. I think it died twice, which was fine because my students thought it was hilarious because the screen just said like battery dead or change the battery pack, and they thought it was funny, and I changed the battery and then we were fine. Normally I would just switch it out at my lunch break. So like first half of the day on one battery and then switch out second half of the day on another battery, and it was fine. But if you can run on, you know, wall power, that's obviously the best way to do it. All right, we kind of got through the questions there. I just want to make sure to hang out in the chat for a bit as we go to wrap things up. I think there might have been a super chat that I missed, and I'm sorry. I hate being a rude dude with a bad attitude. There we go. Oh, it's Mac. Where's the bell? Yes. Pair character bowing down and saying thank you. I love these descriptions because they are the thing that will show up in the actual chat is exactly that. Thanks, Mac. You're amazing. If you have not checked out Mac's channel, he's a musician. So he's an amazing guitarist, but he's also got quite like high standards for audio and video production, and his stuff is amazing, and it always looks and sounds excellent. So there we go. Just gonna let's see here. Oh, here we go. Chris's 20s tutorial channel. In your last live stream, I think you showed us how to create your thumbnail. People don't usually have a pen drawing. I did recall you going over your settings in this. Oh, my Procreate settings, I think you're talking about. I don't really I haven't changed the brushes on those. The only things that I really adjust are the size of the brush, and that's just personal preference. So all of the actual brush settings are just the default ones, and I was just using default brushes. I use the calligraphy one, and then I use the light pen a lot because that's what gives the neon glows. But they're just on their default settings. Nothing crazy. Play some guitar. I would, but my wife is she's busy today. We went to the gym this morning, which is very cool. It's a nice way to start your Monday. And then she has 7 meetings today. So I have 1 live stream. And I don't want to interrupt her important stuff. Here it is. Where can I get the colored windscreen for the SM7B? Reporterstore.com. Not affiliated with them, but that's where they're from, and they're amazing. Mr. Camera Junkies here. What's up? Best boom arm for the pod mic. It'll fit on any boom arm, so it's up to you. Rode PSA-1 is my go-to recommendation. However, I would definitely recommend that you check out my most recent video on the Elgato low profile arm, because it's the same price as this, but it's very different functionality. So whether you want like a traditional boom arm or you want the low profile would work better in your workspace, they're both awesome. They just do different things. Mac, you're funny. Ska? Yes, indeed. Which is actually very funny because I got a message from somebody at Warm Audio, which is a microphone company, and they make really cool stuff. And they're like, hey, we have some mics. We love your channel. Would you like to try out any of our mics? We could loan you some. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool. And I was looking through they have an artist profile thing on their website. And one of the artists is the Interrupters, which is one of my favorite bands. And I was like, oh, can I try out whatever mics they used? That was my response to them. See, Spanish for Eagle, I picked up the Elgato Low Prof. Yeah, they're very hard to find in stock, so you might need to buy them directly from Elgato or Corsair's website. They go in and out of stock multiple times throughout the week, but it's a good arm. It's a good arm, for sure. Just finding them stock. What's up? Made my short link, so no affiliate, just easy to remember. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If Reporter Store had affiliate stuff, I learned about them from Doc and Keith Pelzer in the Ecamm group. But I think that between like the three of us, they have no inventory left because we're just constantly referring people there. But yeah, Ecamm Live. If you like Ecamm Live, you can use my affiliate link in the description to sign up, and that gives me money, which is fun. But anyway, all right, we've been going for, almost 2 hours, but this was really fun. I really like, oh, look, Chris is here. Interrupters use warm audio. Chris, I was thinking of you because yesterday and this morning I was playing with my bass amp over there, and it's just like a Fender bass amp, but I like it a lot, and I've never really played around. I kind of dialed in my settings, and those have been my settings for like 5 years, and then I really tweaked the sound and got a bass tone that I really, really love, and I'm excited about that. And Keith, have you worked on any cable management? I just finished 15 hours. My cable management is like a C tier cable management. But I'm trying to think about this. I feel like I curse myself. I kind of like, what I really like is the KC Neistat style cable management. And my old classroom had this where you get the little, they're like round clips that you can nail into the wall, and they just route cables around, and you can make them go around stuff and in designs and stuff. Though that's really fun. But I feel like every time I get everything actually managed is right around the time that I then end up changing everything. And so it's like, my cable management is significantly better, especially when I'm not streaming. I pretty much have no cables around me or my desk, but over here where like my power supply is often full of cables. Blue is definitely my favorite color. We should talk, Chris, also. Oh yeah, Barefoot Boy. This is a good way to end the stream. Thank you for the reminder. Other mic. So some of you might not have been here. Some of you might not have been here earlier. I did a mystery microphone, and yes, my camera is on the, what is this? The iFootage Shark Slider Nano. Did a review on it, so it's just going back and forth. I do have a blue mic, and I like blue mics, but I just have a lot of mics. I don't need any more, but I feel like they keep showing up, including this one that I'm going to do right now. So if you weren't here earlier, I'm very interested in this mic. I was lucky enough to be given a microphone from a microphone company before it has been announced or released. So I cannot show it to you or tell you what it is or basically do any of that. But I have devised a plan which will, and some of you were here earlier, but I've devised a plan which will let you hear it without seeing what it is. So I'm still going through the SM7B right now, which I really like. And I'm going to secretly put the mystery mic, trying to make sure it's not seen there. Mystery mic is in the box. So the mystery mic, what I can tell you is it is a dynamic XLR microphone, and I like it a lot. So just for reference here is the Shure SM7B, and this is the mystery microphone. What is it? I don't know. It's a mystery. This is the mystery microphone in a box. Remember, as you're listening to this, it is inside of a cardboard box, so probably not the best environment. I should have put like some foam pads in this box and made a little isolation booth next time when I do my arts and craft on my mystery mic box. But anyway, this is the mystery mic, and this is the Shure SM7B. The reason I'm comparing these two, is because I'm really impressed with how closely I think this mystery mic matches the SM7B. And the reason that I think that is important is because I don't know for sure. I mentioned this earlier, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I don't have any pricing info on this mystery mic, but based on what I know and based on other mics in this lineup, I am thinking that this is a competitor to the Pod Mic and the Audio Technica 2040. I think this is a competitor to that $100 podcast streaming microphone world. If this mic, this mystery mic, which actually I'm in the Shure right now, but I'll talk to the mystery mic. So Shure SM7B, mystery mic. If this microphone is $100, I think it could pretty much become like the go-to recommendation because I really, really, really like the way that it sounds. If it's a little higher, like $150, that might be a little tougher because Pod Mic's like $100, this is $150. But I think that this is a very, very, very good sounding microphone. If you want to, you can listen to my podcast from today, which is the Enthusiasm Project. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And I did more in-depth mic comparisons. The episode is about Canon versus Sony, but I started off with more in-depth mic comparisons. So this is the mystery mic. Hello, I'm talking into the mystery mic. And this is the SM7B, as I will be careful to hide the mystery mic away in my non-disclosure location. It's in the witness protection program right now. And now it has disappeared. What if there just wasn't a mic in there and I was just talking to the SM7B the whole time? I wasn't. There was a mic in there. Doc is messing with his emotions. I'm very curious, actually. You are definitely someone who I'm curious what you're going to think about with this microphone here. Oh, yeah, sorry. The mystery mic actually was not running through. It was the same thing. No effects, no processing other than, I guess, master compressor. Yeah. But it wasn't running through a signal booster and no channel effects. So I did have the, it's a dynamic mic. It's not nearly as quiet as this mic is. It's got a little higher output than the Pod Mic, but it's very similar to like the Pod Mic's output. So I had that channel pretty much maxed out, but I didn't want to, when I've been using it in my own like fun and testing, I've been running it through some kind of signal booster. But for today, just so you could hear it, I wanted to run it directly into the Rodecaster to be as, basic as possible. How do you take audio from the Rodecaster ATEM? Oh boy, with speakers, but only the telephone. Guessed. How can I take the audio out from the Rodecaster Pro with ATEM? Well, if you're taking your monitor outputs from the Rodecaster, so if you're using these two, your comment there, sorry. If you're using these two left and right monitor outputs, and you can get like, it's a Y cable, it's going to have 2 1/4-inch jacks on one end and then a 3.5 millimeter on the other, and you can run that into the ATEM. That's going to get you the cleanest output. Nobody's like, it's not going to be an input source though, so like that wouldn't work. That if something's running in, which it wouldn't run into the ATEM. Anyway, I guess that's the way to do it. I don't have like a clear one. Raphael's on to me, said there's no mic. It was all a lie. The audio, no, I've done a review on the Audio Technica 2040. The mic I showed you is not announced yet. That's why I couldn't show. I would love to actually show it to you and talk to you about it and tell you about it, but it's not out yet. And I signed a paper that said I wouldn't tell anyone about it, but I still let you listen to it. A little more bottom end on the Shure, but I must know what that is. If they hit this price point, I think it's gonna be quite the game changer in a lot of ways. When will we see you play the drums? Like I said, I can't play today because we have meetings happening in other rooms, but I am actually very excited. I did this last weekend, or this weekend, it's Monday. I changed my drum heads and I put on colored drum heads. So there's purples and pinks and blues and reds and stuff, and it's really fun to be back there. I've never had colorful drum heads before, so I'm super excited about that, and I will definitely be playing the drums later tonight for fun. Messing with your emotions, I'm sorry. It hurts that I think I know what it is, but I have no idea what it's actually called. I'm curious. I mean, I can't tell you if you're right or wrong. So, look, I have an SM7B hooked to a DBX 286. Streaming, is that ideal? As mentioned before, I have no experience with the DBX 286, but Doc, who is in the chat right now, does, and I'm sure he would be happy to answer that question. What's up, Pablo? Just dropping by to say hello and ask if you had the time to look in the Keyboard Maestro. I haven't done it yet, but I really, really want to, because I would like to be a macro master of macro. It's the Elgato Shure Rode Sennheiser Blue Neat widget. That's not, because that doesn't exist. The craft level of that mystery box. Yeah, I did take it out of the trash. I mean, like the box itself, and then I made the crafts. I wanted to add some lights onto it and stuff, but I ran out of time. Yes, there we go. Definitely the Shure, what's still like 350, 400. Well, I mean, you know, this Shure is 400, the SM7B, but Shure they have the MV7, which is 250, but it's XLR and USB. And then they have, you know, of course, like the SM58 and SM57, which are $100 and very, very excellent ones. Definitely everything's with the Edelkrone, the moving stuff over there. Love the name of the drum. Yes, my drum throne, Ludwig. There we go. Cool. Then that is my cue. Look at that. It's almost exactly 2 hours. That's my cue to go have some lunch. So thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. This was really fun. It's fun. Like every time I do a chat, I try to do things that are like not only fun for me and fun for you, but also kind of tests. So my last live stream, if you wanted to go check that out, I ran through my whole thumbnail creation process. That was a test for me to stay focused on one specific topic. And then prior to that, I've done like the drums, where I was trying to, you know, play music in front of people because that was scary. And today my goal was like to just sort of do a chill Q&A where I could be distracted by different questions that pull in different directions, but not like totally lose my mind and do a 4-hour streams that ends with me just sitting in a pool of sweat and exhaustion. And we did it. Yes. So with that being said, NerdSync just got here as its ending. Level your stuff and help me out. I'm so happy to hear that. I appreciate the support very, very much. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for checking out my weird GoPro mic arm cam. And I think that's about it. So video coming out on Thursday, which will be sort of a follow-up to a video that I did last week. And I hope it's going to be slightly different than normal, but I hope you like it. I think it's very interesting. And yeah, if you want to join the Discord, there's YouTube channel memberships, there's Patreon, but always, I just cannot thank everyone enough for the time and support and just general fun, nice, happy, good vibe times that that everyone always brings on my channel. It's one of the best things ever, and I very much appreciate it and very much appreciate all y'all. So thanks so much. Hope you have a safe, happy, healthy, fun rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Is this the right outro? I hope.